Hi, welcome to Campfire Talks with Newbie Prepping.
How you doing?
It's Rich and I'm Mark, as you know. But yeah, we always like to say that just in case anyone's new. And thank you for watching us for the first time, if you are that new person.
Absolutely, thank you. And to everyone out there, please like, favourite and subscribe this video. Please, thank you very much.
It does help us.
It does, yeah. It does. And also, instead of saving this till the end of the video, I want to say, if you've got any suggestions for the next video, please drop them down in the comments, and we will address them in the next Campfire Talks video.
Yep, we certainly will. First of all, I just want to say well done to the young boy and his mum who restored Rick's
shelter.
Shelter.
Yeah.
Shelter.
Indeed. I was literally walking in, coming down. It was a couple of months ago now, I must say, but I was walking down, entrance to the forest, and I came across the mother with her kid. I don't want to say your names, you know, privacy and all that. They asked if I had built the shelter. Initially, I was a bit hesitant, just in case they were going to have a go at me. But she told me that she found it, and it was all crumbled and fallen apart on the inside, and that she had restored it. So I admitted to her, yes, it was me that built it, and I was actually she restored my faith in humanity a little bit, because instead of destroying it, she rebuilt it and made it possibly even better as well.
No, it's a lot more sturdier.
So yeah,
a lot more sturdier.
Thank you to you and your wonderful son as well. And I hope he gets into bushcrafting as well in the future. I hope this would have inspired him.
Or even join the Scouts.
Join the Scouts first, that would be for the best. Get your experience there. Mark, the Scout leader here. All right.
So, from one of the comments what was made last week, or 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago, yeah.
It was brought up that people, preppers, over-prepping with their supplies and stuff. So I thought that would be a good topic to actually use today. And we can name loads of people, but we're not.
Yeah.
We're not going to name and shame or point fingers unless we know they're doing a good job in what they're doing.
Exactly. It can be a very, very touchy subject, especially because, as we've said before, Campfire is just kind of falling apart there. Oh well, it's fine. As we've said before, everyone has got their own opinions on prepping. So what we might think is over prepping might be considered under prepping to some people. Well, but there are clear-cut cases of over prepping sometimes. I think.
I mean, you got to figure out what type of prepper you're going to be and what your plan is. Now, if your plan is to bug in, and you've got a shelter for you to bug in, then you can't really over prep, because you're going to have the storage facilities for what you're going to be prepping, all your prep stuff. So your food, if you're in America or places where you're allowed weapons, your guns and stuff like that. So yes, it's a matter of opinion what you feel is necessary. Obviously, if you're more of a prepper who thinks, right, I'm going to bug out and get on the move, you've got to think of how much can you carry, So you've got to calculate the weight that you can carry to the speed that you want to move. Because there's no good having, I think there was one picture of, we used in one of the previous videos of a Russian soldier or a Russian person, really kitted up with every type of weapon he was. It's like, now, I know quite a lot of the special forces are really trained really well, but I can't see someone carrying that amount of weapons at 10 miles in a quick time. They could doodle and get there in do 10 miles in a couple of weeks with that amount of stuff, because they go 10 feet and then, I'm knackered. Yeah. But, you got to balance everything out.
Exactly, yeah.
And plan ahead.
See, I've had that sort of comment on the Bug Out Bags episode, July 2020 update video. A lot of the comments on there were talking about redundancy and like you've got to be careful of overloading yourself and everything. But I weighed my bag and it was only 15 kilograms. And like I used to go to festivals with a bag that was chock-a-block with at least 25 kilograms. And I knew that because I had to put it on a plane to be able to ship it over. So yeah, like I used to just recreationally walk with that. However, that was probably 10, 15 years ago. I'm now a 30-year-old. It means, yeah, it means that I really should practice. I actually want to do an upcoming bug out practice episode where I actually just go on a long hike with probably my heaviest bag just to see how far I can get with it. Because I think some people, they just like, they load up their bag, they put it on their back and they do like a few steps around as if they're trying on shoes and they're just like, it's fine. And then as soon as they go out and try and do any sort of hike, suddenly it's like, oh my God, my back is broken. And that is something you've got to watch out for. I've also rejigged my bags a bit since that video and accounted for it too. But ironically, even though I'm talking as if I've been accused of over-prepping, there are still some people who would say like, you haven't got nearly enough stuff, where are your food preps, 3 sachets of rations is not going to help you, stuff like that. I guess that kind of stuff is, it's sort of the sort of thing if you're a homestead prepper, whereas I think that's the sort of prepping where like you wouldn't have to worry about over prepping because your bug out is, well, it's a bug in. So like essentially over prepping is negated because
but
yeah?
there's always a but. Even if you're a homestead prepper, you've got to have a backup if your homestead gets overrun, gets found out, gets assaulted, and you can't protect it anymore. You know, you got to think of, right, this bag is going to have a certain amount of food, certain amount of equipment, and personal stuff. What you want to take, personal stuff could be a clean pair of socks, you know, a dry pair of socks, your gloves, because you're not always going to be having your gloves on all the time. Your hat, you know, if it's a sunny day, you're not going to wear a hat, but if it's a cold day, you're going to need it. So your bag will be lighter because you've got the stuff, more stuff on your person.
Exactly.
But there'll be other stuff in there. So if you've got, like, I'm wearing a woolen jumper, if it's a hot day, that would be in my backpack. So it makes the backpack even heavier because I've put in more stuff in there.
Yeah.
So you got to weigh up what you're going to be wearing, what's going to be in the bag, and the amount of food that you're going to need to take to get somewhere. Now I know Funky Prepper's just done a video.
Yeah, at time of recording, done a video about a cache.
Yeah, doing caches around. I've not personally seen it. Rich was the one who told me about it. He's doing caches around the UK.
Yeah, he was saying in a video about how there are tons of preppers putting caches all around the UK. Like pretty much the entire UK is going to be littered with just underground caches of food and equipment.
So I want to address that one. Now, if your plan, say you live in London and your plan is to get to the coast, and you're because you feel that the ice age is coming and London's going to freeze. Yeah, right. So you need to get to the Mediterranean because where it's warmer. Now you've got your plan, you've got your boat. So your plan would be to get from London to the coast. Now it's roughly, I'll presume, 60 to 70 miles from, say, London, central London, to a point along the coastline. That could either be Clacton, Walton Hayes, Brighton, East, maybe not Eastbourne the 70 miles, but maybe. But so you've got 70 miles to go. Obviously, you've got to have your 3 plans of how you're going to get there. So the first one, obviously, would be you'd be driving. Yeah. Then if you're driving, you've got to have your 3 routes. Yeah, which way you go. Now, what if something happens and you have to dump your car? How much prep stuff have you got in your car to get to your boat? You know, if you've got to dump your car because the roads are blocked or you've happened to have 2 punches, what are you going to do?
Are you going to be able to carry everything that
Yeah.
you've got in your boots?
Say, for example, there's an EMP pulse, and you still want to get to the coast to get to your boat because it's a sailing boat and you can sail off into the sunset. Well, if you can't drive your car, now you've got 70 miles to go. How much food are you going to need to do 70 miles? Now, on average, a good walking space, you do like 10 miles in 4 or 5 hours if you're carrying stuff. So that's almost half a day. Now you've got to set up a camp somewhere, and now you've got to look for a place. So that's all going to take time, unless you know the route what you're taking and you've got these key points along the way. So we're doing waypoints, and we've got certain waypoints from my house, all the way to Richie's house. So we know where these are, and obviously in my circumstances, I can't travel as far in one day as Rich can because I've got children. So I have to allow for the speed of a child, and obviously for, as you all know, a 5-year-old gets tired very quickly. They're not going to do 10 miles in 4 or 5 hours. They might do 10 miles in a day, but that's no good for you if you've got no camp to go to. So I'm looking at 5 miles to do in a day, but have a camp there with a waypoint, and there'll be food there. So when we get there, we can use that supply straight away. And then I know either Richie's on his way this way, so we will meet up in the middle, or I'll be getting to Richie's place, or vice versa, depending on the scenario, what's happened, what the plans are. Now, some plans are for Rich to come up to us, and then we will go off somewhere
elsewhere.
or
that's all you'll hear.
Or I will be going to Rich, and then we'll be going elsewhere. So that route is the most important route. So we've done waypoints where we know we can travel so far. Now Rich will be able to hopscotch almost, or leapfrog, so he could skip one waypoint and go straight onto the next one, because he knows there's a windbreaker there, there's like a shelter, and there's food. So as soon as he turns up, he can dump his bag down, dig up the tube of food, lighter fuel, fire lighters, stuff like that, and get a fire started straight away. He doesn't have to forage for anything. There's enough there to start up.
No wasting energy, like gathering wood.
No sawing, no chopping down anything. So you really got a plan for what you're going to be doing. So having your caches of stuff is great, but when we leave that waypoint, we'd be leaving that stuff behind. We won't be taking what we if Rich don't use up a pound of rice, say for example, that evening, it will just be left, because he knows 5 miles down the road he's got another pound of rice, eggs, bacon, whatever, and then 5 miles later he's got another, so he can leave that there. In the extreme emergency, you can always go back. 5 miles to do in a day is very, very easy to do. So you go back, yes, you've used up some of it, but there'll still be enough there for you to stay another night, or maybe another 2 nights if you can't move.
Exactly. So there's a couple of things I want to say. I've got notes here, but that's why I've got the phone on my leg.
Another book.
Yeah, I know. It's only notes this time, though. So what I wanted to say about overprepping is a form of involuntary overprepping from essentially brainwashing. We were talking about a certain YouTuber last time. Won't mention him this time. Where there are some YouTubers out there who try and convince you to buy this or that because they tell you that you absolutely need it, and it's going to run out of stock. And because of their presence online and their influence, it can make someone really think that they're going to need it and like just start buying up loads and loads of this stuff. And in my opinion, that's sort of like a form of involuntary overprepping, because someone is being convinced that they're going to need this stuff, and if they don't have it, then they're not going to survive. And then they could just wind up with tons and tons of stuff, which they might not essentially need. I mean, like, yes, of course, it could all have uses, and it probably all does have uses. But say if they're like a bushcraft prepper, and they're being convinced to buy all of this equipment, like, you don't need it. Like, I think that we've proved that you can work on minimal kit and just run, like, have your kit complement skills, rather than like say like, oh, buy all the firelighters because the firelighters are running out. Like, no, just like learn a more primitive way of making a fire.
Yeah.
It's that sort of thing that I'm talking about.
I always say, learn the skill, because the skill you can pass on free to other people. You can pass on to your family free once you've learned how to do it, because now all you're doing is teaching it. You never have to find a specialist shop if you've already got that skill, you know. And it could be as simple as skinning a rabbit, you know. And I would say, in a city, I don't want to be bombarded saying you're wrong. This percentage is wrong, but I would say 99% of people living in cities don't know how to skin a rabbit.
I would say so,
You know.
because why would they want to learn?
Yeah, because it's easy for them to go down to a supermarket. Now, the 1% will cover butchers, because obviously they know how to skin and chop up. But some butchers probably wouldn't even. Some new butchers, you know, probably wouldn't know how to skin rabbits, because they're working in the butchers like in the supermarket. Now, even though it's the butchers, all they have to do is cut up the meat that's already cut up.
Exactly, yeah.
You know,
so it's
measure
not true butchery.
the meat, you know, and they probably won't skin anything themselves. So it's the old-fashioned butchers, you know, the actual butcher shop, you know, where they would know more how to do the skinning and stuff. But once you've got the skill, you got the skill, you know, and it's just practicing it all the time. Just don't get lazy and think, well, I learned it once on this little course that I'd done. I don't need to go out and do it.
Yeah.
Because, you know, practice makes perfect.
It does.
You know,
Yeah.
The more times you go out and build a shelter, the better your shelters will be. The more times you do lashings and do different types of knots, you remember the knot what you've just done. You know,
It becomes second nature. You wouldn't have to think about it.
with my explorers, I say to them, "All right, I want you to do a lashing," and they look at me and it's like, oh, okay, and they have to try and think of how to start the lashing off. You know, so they get as scouts and stuff, you get taught how to do knots, but if you don't keep practicing them, it fades from your memory. You know, and you know, building. I know people say, "Oh, anyone can build a shelter." Yeah, anyone can, but how long will it last? You know, is it going to be waterproof? You know, and I feel a bit of rain, but okay.
Yeah, I know. I wonder if it's going to start pouring.
Yeah.
So just moving on here, just want to say something about bunkers again, but something slightly different, slightly different point. So obviously, like, a bunker is like the biggest thing you can do in prepping. Well, arguably, based on the size of your homestead, it could be bigger. But yeah, probably the most costly thing is bunkers. And see, I would consider that, unless, like, I would assume that if someone has built a bunker, then they've done all the research they need to do, and they are thoroughly sure that they want to do it, build a bunker. But I would say, like, it could be considered overprepping, because why not just relocate? If you're worried about bombs dropping, so you're building a bunker underground deep enough so that you won't be affected by it, why not just relocate to an area that's less likely to have bombs dropped?
Yeah.
Because, like, you've shown me maps before of areas which are most likely to be hit by bombs. So just relocate to somewhere like that. There's like an episode of Doomsday Preppers where there's this guy who put a bunker in the ground, and he was so worried about people coming across it that he had set up a gun turret, like literally an MP5, onto a tree that had a motion tracker on it. and a warning system saying you will be shot if you don't leave. And it's like, why build a bunker there if there's so much footfall?
Yeah.
Again, if you want to build a bunker to get away from people, again, try relocating. There's another family on Doomsday Preppers that's literally moved out to the desert, and they managed to live out there just fine. There's no one around for miles, and like, I personally wouldn't do that, but hell, if it's fine for them, then it's fine.
It's personal opinion, really, of what you do. One of the points what you was talking about bunkers and about bombs falling. Now, I know that a lot of people will be out there and they will say, "Oh, but if there's a nuclear war, what's the point? We're all gonna die." You know, okay, Mr. Half Glass. You know, here's a fact for you, right? From the Hiroshima and Hiroshima bombs. Yeah. Now I might get this around the wrong way, right? But 76% of the people who was in Hiroshima survived. Yeah. In what was that? Hiroshima, Nagasaki, or the other place? Yeah. Nagasaki.
Pretty sure.
Was a stronger bomb, and 72% people survived.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now there's one story of a man, right, who was in the first town, right, seeing the explosion. He dived for cover, yeah, and got burnt, yeah. 3 days later, he was at work in the other city, right, and he survived, right, and he lived. There was a report of him doing reports of what happened and his story. And as far as I know, he's not the only person to survive 2 nuclear bombs. There has been stories from Japan of other people who were in both towns, because obviously once one's been destroyed, they vacated to the other town. Right? But people do survive, you know. And he was quite elderly when he was still on TV, talking about his experience. Now, yes, he did have like more burns from the second one, you know. But everyone thinks that a nuclear war means we're all going to die. Yeah, a large percentage of the population, yes, would, especially with the magnitude of the yields nowadays. You know, but if you do the correct, if you not say plan, but if you think smart at the time, then you could survive. Now, obviously, if you're in ground zero, the immediate blast area, no, you're not. But you're not going to know about it. You know, it's if you're in the outer ring. If you see a bomb go off, don't look at it. There are stories that you're blinded. You know, you can't see. Yes, that's true. Yeah. If you watch a nuclear bomb go off from inside the radius, you will be temporarily blinded. You won't be blinded forever. Your eyesight will come back. But they say it's like 15, 20 minutes. But then 15, 20 minutes are crucial for you to get out of the way. Yeah, it's the radiation when it starts falling is the bit what will kill you.
Yeah.
You know, so if you can take cover, get inside, get into the centre of a building, you know, and if you were outside and ash starts falling on you, you know, take your clothes off slowly. You know, don't rush to take it off, because you're actually spreading the ash what's already on there. So if you quickly rip everything off, throw it over there, you're spreading it around more. Right. So you take it off, wash, soapy water. Right. There's a good chance that you will get some sickness, but you could survive. You know, and this is about being preppers. You know, so having that bunker, great. You know, you will survive the initial blast unless it's right above you. You know, when you do come out, it will be a barren land, you know, and life afterwards will be hard. But if you look at Chernobyl, you know, life is still there. And there are some stories of 5, 6-legged deers and weird type of carp and stuff like that. But they're still there, you know, and life. Nature will find a way. You know, there's wildlife has returned to Chernobyl. You know, the forests are growing just as good now. You know, and after that explosion, if you see a six-legged deer, if you can catch it, right, don't eat it, because you know it's a mutation.
Yeah,
You know, look for a healthier one.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Don't want to eat irradiated meats.
yeah, and you clean the soil away. You know, slowly but carefully. You take away, I think it's like the 10 inches of the topsoil. You've got to think of where you're going to store it. You know, and don't do it on a windy day. You know, but they say that the area when you first come out, the first 72 hours are the most important, because the radiation in the air decreases the longer it's there. So off the top of my head, I will give Rich the link, so you can put the link in the bottom, and it explains how to survive a nuclear explosion. And I believe after 72 hours, it goes down. The radiated area is reduced by like 90%. You know, yes, going out is still a risk, yeah, after 72 hours. But if you can survive 72 hours, there's a good chance that you will survive a nuclear explosion. You know, and most predictions now are not on Russia and America going to war, or Russia and NATO, or, you know, no country wants to be the first to launch a nuclear war, you know. But it's going to be more of the terrorists. If they get a nuclear bomb, they will detonate it, and they will go for capital cities. They will go for something what will get them in the news, because that's what they want.
The bigger sort of places.
So
that's where what I said about relocating, going to a place where like it's the least likely, small population town or something, or just completely isolated.
Yeah. So they're the ones what the most secret services are more concerned about. You know, is that the smaller groups what gets one bomb and blows it up. You know, and there's loads of movies. Like 24. There's stories of nuclear attacks on the country. You know, Sum of All Fears. Was another good movie of what showed about a nuclear bomb going off. So there's plenty of ones out there. You know, yes, it's all, you know, vastly dramatized in what happens, and you know, but that's the movies for you. But
Hollywood again. Yeah. The last point that I had was overprepping. It can have an effect on your family life. So unless like you get manage to have a family that are fully on board with it, it can become quite a struggle. Like, sorry to keep citing doomsday preppers, but they had a rather eclectic bunch of people that they covered on that show. And there was a few times where they had people that had families that just were not interested in it whatsoever, and they would like distance themselves from the person doing it. And like as well as that show, like I know some people who they've chosen to go it alone because they feel like having a family would slow them down. And then that just makes me think it's arguable to say that if you devote your life just to prepping and nothing else, then you might end up dying of old age with nothing actually happening. And then you could say that that's almost like a waste of life, like you've wasted your life. Like because you haven't experienced how good life can be, essentially, like with a family and everything. In my opinion, if you go overboard like that, like you completely devote your life to it, then it can be considered overprepping, and you can end up wasting your life. But then there's the one guy that I mentioned last week, the last Campfire Talks video, Bear Independent, who he thoroughly lives the lifestyle. His family is in it 100%, and he's got a tribe of friends that are in it as well. And obviously he's in his homestead, and he loves life, and his family loves life as well. So if you're lucky enough to get that sort of balance, then that's perfect. But to anyone else who is just by themselves and they completely devote their lives to nothing but prepping, then yeah, I would say that's over prepping. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, you've got to have a balance. Now, I can put my hand on my heart. Crystal is not a prepper, you know, but she understands just in case. You know, that's why we have insurance, as we said. You know, so she's of opinion is I will go if you say we have to go, I will go. Yeah, but she doesn't want to come out, you know, and do the overnight camps. You know, she doesn't want to just come out unless she has to. Now, Crystal's a carnivore. She doesn't eat vegetables at all. Doesn't eat pastas, and for her, it would be a big culture shock. And she's already admitted, well, if that's the only food I've got, pastas and stuff like that, well, then that's the only food I would eat. You know, if I'm forced to eat it, I would eat it. You know, so she understands if we need to go, there are sacrifices. What lifestyle, what she has now, would happen. You know, and for me, it's great because I know if I say we need to go, she'll go, okay, let's go. You know, because she knows that I don't just look at the conspiracies. Yeah, I don't think, oh, you know, the government's going to keep us in lockdown all the time. The government can't, you know, because they just don't have the money to, you know. And as we see now, you know, restrictions are getting better and better. Yes, we're going to have to wear masks for those who wear masks. They're going to have to wear masks longer, you know. But the government's only trying to keep keep the majority of people safe. You know, they're rolling out the jab. What they're doing, you know, great. You know, if someone wants to have the injection, don't criticise them. You know, it's their choice at the end of the day. You know, I'm not going to say if Rich said, "Oh, Mark, I had the jab yesterday." All right, if that's how you felt that was the best course, that's fine. And for me, I wanted the jab. You know, and I know I said to Crystal, now Crystal's the same. She doesn't want to have the jab, and I said to her, "But your Achilles heel is our daughters. If one of them goes into hospital, and the hospital says you need to have the jab, then she would have the jab." You know, and that's because you have to put your family. You have to think about your family. You can't just say, no, I'm not going to have it, because that means your child's going to go into hospital, or you're going to say, no, my child's not going to hospital. You know, it's bonkers. So I will not purposely go and have a jab unless I 100% have to. Now, that could be for different reasons, but I'm not going to willingly go in and get it. But that's my personal opinion, and no one should criticise me. Like I won't criticise anyone else for going to have it, you know. And it goes for that family life. I can't force my son to come over here and come camping if he doesn't want to come over here and go camping. He wants to stay in the city. He wants to stay with his mum. He wants to do all the stuff in the big city lights. That's fine, you know. Now I've always said, if anything happened, to write down on the wall, his bedroom wall, where he's going, and I would do everything I can to get over there and track him down, you know. So if he on his bedroom wall is Olympia, I'll go to Olympia, yeah, and then I'll look for a sign he would write up to the next point, and I will try and get him, because he knows that he would be more safer with me in a doomsday scenario than anyone that he'd be going around with in London, you know. So he understands, but I'm not going to force him. And it's the same with Seren. I'm lucky Seren enjoys coming out. She enjoys looking for stuff. She enjoys starting fires up. So I'm lucky with Seren that she enjoys being out. You know, she wants to learn about stuff.
Yeah.
So I would encourage it. But if she turned around and said, my schoolmates think you're a bit bonkers, I don't want to go out anymore. Okay, done. But you know, if anything happens, you're going to come with me. And she will understand, yes, I will come with you.
Yeah.
And so you've got to have that balance with family life, you know. Respect them, and hopefully you get respected back for what you believe, you know.
Exactly. There's a psychology behind it. I'm not sure if this is the technical name, but it's called pushback. It's like when you try and force something on someone too much, like it makes someone it makes that person
Anti.
Yeah. Like it makes them not want to do it even more. It's like, oh, if you keep trying to make me watch this movie, I'm not even going to watch it. Like, I'm definitely not going to watch it. if you keep trying to make me go to this place, I'm not going to go there because like you're forcing me into doing this thing and I don't want to do it. So what they're doing is they're pushing back against you.
Yeah.
So it benefits no one to like try and force or even like try and guilt trip them or even just, you know, sometimes even just trying to convince them. Like sometimes no just genuinely means no.
Yeah.
I think, just like you said, if you just hold back and you just be like, okay, you don't want to do it, that's fine. If a doomsday scenario ever did happen, then there would be less resentment, because I thoroughly believe that people who have already pushed back, and I've got some friends who have pushed back against my whole ideas of prepping. I honestly think if anything did really happen, then they would have like a certain resentment and be like, oh, I don't want to be told I told you so, even though they're literally in a doomsday scenario right there and then, or an SHDF scenario. So by not having that mentality and just being like, right, so we're in it now, doesn't matter what was said before, what matters is what we do right now.
Yeah.
And like just forget about everything that was said, let's just get it done, then I believe that the person would be more receptive to just being like, okay, let's do it.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. You know, and you find that in most, you find that pushback happens in a lot of different scenarios. So now, when I was growing up, I used to work in the theatres. So I used to work with loads of gay people, and I've got no problem with anyone's choice of life, you know, except when it's forced upon me. So, for example, with people saying that I'm gender neutral or I'm an alien, and that's what you've got to call me, right? Well, no, you're human, you know. I don't. You. Now I'm going to state a fact. You're balmy if you're going to say I'm an alien, because okay, if you want to be an alien, you can't claim any benefits because our benefit systems are for the human population. If you're not human, then you don't get your housing benefits. You don't get, you know, your national insurance number, because we don't support aliens because you're not an alien. Do you know what I mean? So when someone keeps forcing it, and it's part of the wokeness what's going on, you know, they force an agenda. It has that knockback, and you know, I won't go in. I won't go into Sainsbury's. You know, just I turned up one day and right outside, you know, we support, and I won't say who they're supporting, but they support a certain minority group. Okay, good for you. Well, I'm not coming in there because I don't want that to be forced upon me.
Yeah.
Why should I have a big 9x3 banner saying they support it? It's good that you support it, but don't force it on me. I shouldn't have to support something which I'm not saying I don't agree with some of these some of the groups. You know,
it's not a matter of disagreeing with them. It's the fact that they keep like shoving it on us, and they're telling us that we're bad people because we're not doing exactly what they're saying. They're not. It's quite ironic. They're telling us how to live, and we're saying no. We want to live how we want. And their point that they're trying to make is oh well, you're trying to tell us how to live. No. Yeah, exactly. That's not what's happening. Us two, we're perfectly fine with anyone however they want to live. Like I would go as far, like if someone came up to me and they said, look, these are my pronouns. You know what? It doesn't cause me any harm. I might as well just be like, all right, yeah, fine. You're a he, and I'll just refer to you as that because, like, whatever, it makes no difference to me. But like at the same time, I've read articles that are like, if you're on our side and you're saying like, I'm sorry, it's just so hard to remember. Like, what you're doing by saying that is you're passing the blame off to the person. Essentially, what they're trying to say is, even though in that scenario I'm trying to be apologetic and to adhere to what they want to be called, they're still saying I'm a bad person because I'm making them feel bad because they're forcing me to apologize to them. So it's like, where does this end? Like, where the hell does this end? Because, like, I'm trying to be accommodating to you, and yet I'm still being considered a bad guy.
People live the way they want to live. Fine. No one should criticise. Yeah. Either way. You know. Now, generally I'm a conservative. Yeah, I've got conservative views. Right. I've got people. Loads of my mates when I grew up, they're Labour. You know, we don't bicker and argue over who got in over the London elections or what about Boris Johnson, or do you know what I mean? That's nothing to do with our friendship. You know, and you know there is one girl who we have disowned each other on Facebook over Black Lives Matter. You know, and I pointed out that we was in the same school. You know, I didn't see anyone picking on you. You know, because you was like your dad was black and your mum was white. I didn't see that. You know, it may have happened. You know, but I never done that. So why are you saying that I need to apologise for stuff what's happened? Well, that's bonkers.
Yeah.
All I've ever given you was respect because you're a friend.
Yeah.
You know, and if you can't respect me back as a friend, then we're no longer friends.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly
and it's sad
it.
because that just, people sooner lose friendships than to agree to disagree. You know, and that's bonkers. It really is.
It really is, yeah. And like, even like, I am going to disclaimer this because I am worried that these sort of people, they will click on this video, they see this segment that we're talking about right now, and they're just going to say, Newbie Prepping's racist, Newbie Prepping's sexist, Newbie Prepping's this and that. You want to live how you want to live? Fine, go on ahead. Just don't make other people feel bad.
Yeah.
Like, and that's just the long and short of it. Don't make other people feel bad, no matter who you are. All right. No. Okay, and we'll just leave it at that. Yeah. Because everyone has a right to just
live how they want to live.
Yeah, exactly. And to live happily and free of ridicule from whoever. And that's it.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Yeah, great.
Until next time.
Yeah, okay. Is that the end?
I think so. I think we diversed off of prepping a little bit, but
the thing is,
Campfire Talks.
Exactly, Campfire Talks. We started on about over-prepping, but honestly, with Campfire Talks, it's starting to rain now as well, so there's no campfire. But it can diverge into anything, and like we said, we're going to be talking about our own opinions and stuff. And again, like, if you're offended, then...
Don't say it. If you're offended, tough. We didn't mean to offend you, and we ain't said nothing offensive. So tough.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. That's the stance what everyone should have.
Yeah.
Both sides. You know, tough.
Yeah.
With a big T.
Yeah. With a capital T.
Yeah, tough.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and that's it. Yeah. Nothing more to say.
Until next time.
Yeah. We'll see you again.
Yeah. Like and subscribe if you do, and share. It does help the algorithm. And supports our channel.
Exactly. Yeah. And any suggestions for any other further videos, keep comments. If you're going to comment on about what we were talking about in the in this last section of this video, keep it civil in the comments. Again, respect everyone, and just don't be assholes to each other, basically. And that's basically it. So yeah, thank you very much. We'll see you again on Newbie Prepping.
Thumbs up. See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.